Welcome to the third step of the coaching process, the coaching session itself. So in the first step in observation, we were able to see what the player was doing that was working for them and what they were doing that wasn't working so well. Then we took that into planning and we isolated the performance area that we felt the player would benefit most from changing. And then we figured out what the player could be doing differently to get a better result than the one that they are currently getting. So we've got a coaching plan in our pocket, and now here we are at the actual coaching session. So there's going to be a series of short clips that we look at each of the stages of the coaching cycle. So in this video, we're going to be having a look at the overall coaching process and just having a look at what coaching is exactly, so we can all get on the same page before we start. A definition I'd like to offer you for coaching, or a metaphor, is a journey. In coaching, we're always really working from a place here where the player's not achieving the results that they're wanting to achieve. And we're journeying from this place here to a place in the future over there where they are achieving the results that they want to achieve. And in between here and there, there's a journey that must happen. There's some things that need to change. There's some stuff that they need to do differently in order to get from here to there. And that's really what coaching is all about. It's about helping somebody understand where they are right now, what here is like, where they're wanting to go, what there is like, and what things they can do to get from here to there. Very simply, that's the coaching journey. Now that we've got an idea of what coaching is, it's really about taking somebody on a journey. Let's have a look at how you'll know whether you've had a successful coaching session or not. There are three things that you should be able to observe energetically in your player after a coaching session. If you don't see these things, I really offer that you look back at yourself as the coach and look at what you could be doing differently to get a better result for your player. So the first thing you should notice about a player that's had a successful coaching session is that they're clear. They understand where they are right now, so they know where they are, what's not working. They know where they want to be. They know what their goal is. And very importantly, they're clear on what they're going to do differently, or what they're going to do to get from here to there. You should be able to notice that your player is very clear and focused on what they're going to be doing. They shouldn't be leaving your coaching session confused or demoralized. The next thing that you should be able to notice is that they feel empowered. So they feel like the things that they need to do are within their control. They have the keys to the kingdom, as it were. They can get themselves from here to there. That belief is within them after the coaching session. And the third thing, which builds on the first two, is that they feel motivated or positive. The reason they feel motivated or positive is that they know where they are, they know where they're going, they know how they're going to get there, and they trust themselves to be able to get there. Those are the building blocks towards motivation. So a little watchword I'd like to give you is, if you find yourself needing to give your player a pep talk about their ability and believing in themselves, chances are the coaching process has failed. And the reason that they don't believe in themselves is they can't see what the journey looks like. And that points back to you as the coach. So that's some of the self-correcting awareness that a coach needs to carry. Is that when a player doesn't come out of a coaching session clear, empowered, and positive, good place to start is with yourself and your coaching technique and seeing what it is that you could be changing to get a better result. Okay, so with that in mind, let's just have a quick look at the coaching process itself in the coaching session. And then in subsequent videos, we're going to dive into each one of the stages of the coaching session and unpack it into more detail. So the start of the coaching session is about connecting with the person that you're coaching. It's about getting into a good relationship with them and building a relationship of trust before you continue with the rest of the coaching session. Once you've connected, then you're going back to the previous coaching session to review what happened there. So where did you expect to be by now, and are you there? And what's it like being here now that you're in this different place? Once you've reviewed the previous coaching session, the next thing to do is to set the agenda for the coaching session. So what is the work that you're planning to bite off in this particular coaching session? And here we have a divergence between two schools of coaching. These two schools don't compete with one another, they are just used in different environments. The school of non-directive coaching, the realm of life coaches and executive coaches, the coach really doesn't have a good idea of what the player could be doing differently to get a better result. So non-directive coaching focuses on helping the player discover what that could be. In the school of directive coaching, where we have sports coaches and we have managers who coach, the coach does have an idea of what the player could be doing differently to get a better result. The reason for this is that they've typically got a lot more experience than the player themselves, and very importantly, they've got a different perspective. They've got the ability to stand back and observe the player playing. So they have a perspective on what the player is doing that the player doesn't have themselves. So if you imagine in most sports, but golf is a really good example, a player who's struggling with their swing is really going to struggle while they're swinging the club to diagnose where it is that something's not working in their swing. For somebody standing a meter or two away watching them, it's very easy for them to figure out what they could be doing differently in their swing to get a better result. So that's the gift that the coach has in the directive coaching model. And what that does is it often means that you can coach shorter coaching sessions and you can coach much more frequently than you do in the non-directive coaching model. So that's the third step of the coaching process, setting the agenda. So you're bringing which performance area you want to work on. The next thing you're doing now that you've got the performance area is what's the goal of the performance area? So between you and your player, you need to become clear about what is it that we're trying to achieve in this particular performance area. Then we're looking at reality. So the goal is really about over there. That's saying that's where we want to be, but clearly we're having a coaching session around it because we're not there. So the reality is about here. It's about what's actually happening instead of the goal that we're hoping to achieve. The next thing we're doing is looking at what options the player has for getting from here to there. And from that place, we're going to the wrap-up, which is deciding which one of the options is going to work the best and how the player can possibly practice that for the next week or so to get to the next coaching session. The reason we're focusing on practice in this model, very similar to the way sports coaches work, is that the player doesn't just need to theoretically understand what they're doing differently, but they actually need to groove that new skill into their subconscious so that they can rely on it even when there's a lot of pressure being put on them. They can still rely on it, and the skill doesn't require any conscious effort for them to roll out. If you imagine any good sportsman, and again a golfer is a good example, when you watch somebody like Tiger Woods swinging a golf club, it's really obvious that there is another part, there's a deep knowing in Tiger's body on how to swing that club. He's not thinking about every little piece of what he needs to do to get that club to hit the ball in the right way. And that's the place that we want to get our player. If we're in a contact or call center, we want to get those skills that the player needs to engage with the customer stored in the subconscious so that they can just effortlessly roll them out, and instead of focusing on the process or the skills, they're actually focusing now on the customer. So that's the process we're going to go through in a coaching session. The last thing that we're going to do at the end of the coaching session after wrapping up is we're going to check out so that we can separate or break this relationship in a good way and go back to our work. And that's basically the process. So now we're going to go through a number of video clips where we're going to unpack each one of these steps in more detail. So I invite you to the next clip, which is going to be about connecting with the player that you're coaching. I'll catch you there.